Hello everyone, this is Naresh IAS Academy digital platform. Now I am going to discuss second series on General Studies question paper 1 for IAS mains exam. In the first series, I have completed General Studies question paper 2 through the 20 videos uploaded on the YouTube channel, and again in the 20 videos I will cover General Studies question paper 2, and my effort is to provide help to those candidates are not able to contact physically or for getting any kinds of coaching class facilities, and most of part you may obtain from our website Naresh IAS Academy for completing the entire General Studies question paper 2. You may contact for offline classes or our answer writing series. According to the syllabus, the UPSC have mentioned in gspaper 1 the development of different art forms and architecture from ancient to the modern time. So this is my topic, the development of different art forms. Art form like the architecture. Okay, so first we will analyze the topic, and this is a challenge before all the aspirants, how to cover not only this topic, all the topics have mentioned in the syllabus. If you have a right manner of study or right approach, definitely you can secure the good marks and can complete your preparation at the right time. So I will cover the topic under the 3 categories: development during the ancient time, and then medieval era, or then changes took place in the modern times. To cover the topic with the all dimensions, I will write here the point 1 is the syncretism. Syncretism, and we can say blend and fusion of the 2 or the more cultures. Second is content, subject matter, and third is the style. Simply I will try to explain the approach to cover the topic, and for detailing you may contact through our website the Naresh IAS Academy. Okay. This is the first topic of General Studies question paper 1. Development of different art forms in which architecture is dominant. When we talk about the different types of art form like the paintings, sculptures and different kinds of murals and some the abstract forms of the art forms. But here I will start with the Gandhar art, or then I will end the topic with the rock cut architecture, because these are two important features in the development. Gandhar art was developed in the Gandhar region, now in Pakistan and Afghanistan. During the 6th century BC, Gandhar was a Majanpad and Taxila was its capital. Gandhar was brought under the different dynasties like the Indo-Greek, then Kushan, and earlier them by the Mauryas and later on by the Guptas. So, different developmental phases we have found from the Gandhar art. The term syncretism, also the fusion and blending of elements of the different cultures. It may be either the economic factors or by the political factors. Economic factors means what? When any arts flourish at the site of crossing, where the traders and merchants passes regularly and to meet with the other traders and merchants of the different countries. So, Gandhar art have both economic and the political aspect of syncretism. Gandhar was located at the crossings of India, Central Asia and the Europe. So, that time merchants donated for the development of this art. And now we have to find out syncretism in what extent, absolutely 100% or below the 100%. We have to determine the extent of syncretism, because UPSC have asked questions twice from the topic. In Gandhar art, content or subject matter is purely Indian. The Gautam Buddha is a subject matter, and Gautam Buddha have its root in India, and style is Greco-Roman and Bactria. Also some Persian, Iranian elements are found. Buddha was depicted in Greco-Roman or the Bactrian styles, and we can clearly find out these elements in the form of curly hair and the heavy drapery, different kinds of dresses, patterns, and angels with the garlands, and use of centaurs with the human head and the hollow behind the Gautam Buddha's head, and the other values, they resulted into the musclements of the Gautam Buddha. So, then these are the clearly seeing elements prove the Greco-Roman or Bactrian influence over the Gandhar. But in the limited form we can say Gandhar was a sculpture art, and through the sculptures Indian elements have also used, like the wheel of Dharma, footprint of Gautam Buddha, and the empty throne, a riderless horse, and Bodhi tree, some elements of the Bodhi tree. So, we cannot say the Gandhar art was absolutely influenced by the Greco-Roman or Bactrian elements, or we are absolutely owed to these foreign culture. Simply for a large extent it was, but for some extent the Indian elements were also dominant in the culture. So when you will writing your answer on Gandhar art, the first you have to define the meaning of syncretism and how much extent the degree of syncretism or fusion, or second you have to prove the content and style and the various elements, and finally you have to prove this fusion was due to both economic factors and the political factors. So definitely you can obtain the good marks in this topic. And next, the syncretism either may be two indigenous religion or cultures, or fusion between one indigenous or the another the foreign cultures. While we talk about the Ajanta paintings, Ajanta is a place in Aurangabad district of Maharashtra state, where the subject is purely Indian Buddha and style is purely Indian. So what is the difference between the Ajanta and Gandhar? Ajanta is simply a paintings, rock cut cave paintings, and Gandhar is a sculpture. Second, geographical difference. Gandhar was flourished. Nowadays, the geographical territory of Pakistan and Afghanistan, there were so many places like the Peshawar, Bamiyan, Hadda, Jolian, Taxala and Pushkalabati, and Ajanta paintings simply in the Ajanta mountain range, and this was the difference of the time. Gandhar art started before the Ajanta paintings, but both the art are not a creation of one time. They have marked a series of development for a long duration. Gandhar art started from the BC to the 7th century AD, and Ajanta paintings mainly started from the 1st century to the 7th century. So it has the long way for its developmental. So these kinds of questions may be asked by UPSC, so you must be clearly seen this in this way. And next, the syncretism or fusion during the medieval age. I have discussed the nature of syncretism by either the economic factors or political factors. In medieval age, India was brought under the Islamic rule, first under the Delhi Sultanate or then the Mughal Empire, and this fusion of syncretism due to the political ambitions, not by the economic factors, where it was resulted into the Indo-Islamic architecture. So what are the salient features of Indo-Islamic architectures? You know, before this syncretism, Indian styles was called the trabeate, in which beam and pillars were mainly used for large or spacious buildings and to afford the burden of a roof. But Islam brought archaic style, in which they applied the use of different kinds of arches. This was mixed with the Indian trabeate style and became the Indo-Islamic architecture. And the content and styles in the medieval age, content were both Indian and the Islamic. And further we can say, when the Islam started rule over India, so definitely they brought some styles and content from the Central Asia. So the construction of mosque, tomb, minarets definitely have the roots in Central Asia. This was the another elements of syncretism. So then content we can trace in Indo-Islamic architecture, and styles, the styles of Indian and Islamic Islamic styles, both were used at a time. But for the ornamentation or embellishment of the buildings, Islam quite maintained distance from the Hindu elements. They either never use symbols like lotus and well. Instead, they use the geometric patterns like triangle, square, rectangles with the verses of Quran and Shariat, and some natural elements like flowers, rocks and the mountains. So this was the nature of syncretism in the medieval age. It means we have to trace the development from the ancient time to the medieval age. But this was quite different. Mainly this was done by the political force. So this was the political syncretism, not the economic. In the modern age, India was brought under the British rule. Then India had been a colony for the 190 years under the Britishers, and Britishers brought the Roman and Greek elements with the Renaissance architecture, and Renaissance architecture were introduced in India, and this was syncretism of Renaissance architecture with the Indo-Islamic architecture. Mainly Renaissance architecture was depend upon the Gothic styles of architecture of Europe, and this syncretism mainly by the political intentions. There was no economic aspect behind this. British government built so many buildings in Calcutta, Bombay, Delhi and the Himalayan regions, so many hill stations like the Dalhousie squares, Victoria Palace of Kolkata and the Chepak Palace of Madras, High Court in Calcutta, Madras and Bombay, and the Governor House of Delhi and Shivaji Terminus of Bombay. Then these building construction reveals the fusions of Britishers or the Indian elements. Styles were both Indians and the Europeans, and content was also infused with the Europeans. Then the styles or content we can trace in modern phase through the so many buildings, but here the political approach was in dominant as well as medieval age. But in case of ancient history or ancient period, this was either affected by the economic, mostly Buddhist art. The Buddhism art or Buddhist art promoted or supported by the merchant or the traders only, and as well as for some limit we can say about the Jainism. Important buildings of Jainism, they were definitely donated by the merchants. And the last aspect, the content or subject matter. You must know some approaches according to the motifs or symbols. Different kinds of symbols and motifs are dominant in the Hinduism, like the Tandav dance of Lord Shiva, flute playing by the Lord Krishna, and incarnation of Lord Vishnu. So you have to study in details what do you mean by the incarnation of Lord Vishnu. It has not only the religious aspect but political aspect, because the incarnation theory was introduced first to counter the growth of Mahayana Buddhism, or second to spread the fame of monarch among the peoples or accede to the political boundaries in the different way. So on the pattern of incarnation, monarch depicted himself in the different form, like he is a great rulers, great politician, great diplomat, great warriors, and the patrons of art and cultures, and the benevolent to their peoples. And same the, what do you mean by the motif Tandav dance? It has religious aspect, spiritual aspect, political aspect, cultural aspect. The Tandav dance have the 4 aspects in detail. I will discuss through the websites. And same the flute playing Krishna. And the last, I will end my topic with the rock cut architecture. Initially, the development of art form started with the rock art. The rock art we can trace from the Mesolithic age, then Neolithic age, or then so on. The Mesolithic age, the rock art which was developed by the nomadic peoples, it simply provides some information about their socio-economic religious life through the some scene of hunting scene, dancing and the food patterns. And we can also take help from the rock art for determining the datings in the history. So, the rock art are very important for both providing knowledge about the human's life and datings of the Indian history. Later on, the rock art converted into the rock cut architecture, and Barawar caves are the India's most ancient or the earliest examples of rock cut architecture. Barawar caves were built by Mauryan Emperor Ashoka for the monks of Ajivak sect. However, these caves were used by Brahman monks, Buddhist monks and the Jain monks too. And adjacent to the Barawar caves in Bihar, this was the Dasarath, grandson of Ashoka, who built some caves. And this tradition was followed by the Ajanta paintings, Badami caves in Karnataka, Sittanvasal cave in Tamil Nadu, and under the Pallab dynasty, this was the Narasimhavarman first who built the Rath temples, and this was the landmark or beginning of Dravid schools of architecture. Then you can draw the rock cut architecture, and how the rock cut architecture are different from the rock art. Simply, rock art were the art form of natural form of the art. They were naturally developed, while the rock cut architecture were built by the order of any monarch like the Ashoka. Second, rock art simply provides some light information about the life of early human beings or the nomadic peoples, while the rock cut architecture provides a developmental phase of human life like the social aspect, religious values and the spiritual traditions. And simply, the rock cut architecture is a symbol of the development of civil engineering, and this was definitely a leap in the field of technology. So, the rock cut architecture, how they are important for us and how can be seen in the context of development of art form. In very short form, I have to try to explain the approach, and for detailing you may contact through our website Naresh IAS Academy. Okay, thank you.